Imagine checking your mail one sunny afternoon to discover a $720,000 mortgage you never signed for, a house you've never seen, and a $13,000 tax bill threatening to sink you all because your own brother used your name behind your back. Now, picture the gut punch. Your parents knew and begged you to stay quiet to keep the peace. I'm Mia Reynolds, and this is my story of betrayal, a secret battle for justice, and a revenge so bold I sold that house right out from under them. You won't believe how it ends. I'm Mia Reynolds, 28, living in Overland Park, Kansas, a picturesque suburb where manicured lawns and minivans define the landscape. My life was the kind of quiet success I'd built brick by brick. A marketing coordinator at a local tech firm, a snug 2-bedroom cottage with a red brick facade, and a Honda CR-V that handled the Midwest winters with ease. My credit score was a solid 780, the result of years of scrimping, skipping dinners out, brewing my own coffee, and resisting the lure of Black Friday sales. I ran a side hustle designing wedding invitations, the extra cash funding my passion for weekend farmers markets and yoga classes. My family was my rock ore, so I thought. My parents, Tom and Linda Reynolds, lived 10 miles away in Olathe, in the split-level home where I grew up, with its creaky floors and a backyard where Dad still tended his vegetable garden. Dad was a retired electrician, his hands rough from years of wiring, while Mom ran a part-time bakery, her cinnamon rolls a hit at community fairs. They were the kind of parents who'd drive through a blizzard to bring me soup, who'd framed my high school art projects, who instilled in me the value of hard work over handouts. Then there was my older brother, Ethan, 31, the family's golden boy. Ethan was a charmer toll with dark hair and a grin that won over everyone. He'd always been the risk-taker, chasing big dreams while I played it safe. His ventures included a failed car detailing business, a short-lived sports betting app, and a stint as a property investor that fizzled when his deals fell through. Each flop came with a new excuse: bad economy, bad partners, bad luck, but Mom and Dad never lost faith. Ethan's got hustle, Dad would say, his voice warm with pride. Mom would nod, convinced he was one deal away from striking it rich. I was the steady one, the one who showed up on time, paid my dues, and kept the peace. I didn't mind much. I loved my family, flaws and all. We'd gather for Sunday brunches at Mom and Dad's, crowding around their dining table for Dad's omelets, Mom's rolls, and Ethan's tales of his next big score. I'd tease him about his schemes, he'd fire back with a laugh, and we'd all end up joking. Growing up, we'd been close, despite our differences. Ethan taught me to ride a bike, snuck me into PG-13 movies, and cheered at my college graduation. But there were cracks. Ethan had a habit of borrowing money and forgetting to repay, like the $200 he owed me from a sure bet that never paid off. I let it slide. Family right. I thought we had each other's backs. I was wrong. It was a bright afternoon on May 15, 2025. The kind where the Kansas sun warmed the porch and the air carried the scent of freshly mowed grass. I was sorting through mail at my kitchen counter. Water bill, a coupon for a local diner, the usual one. I spotted an envelope from Prairie Home Bank. I didn't bank with them, so I assumed it was a promotional offer, but my name was printed in bold, and the words "Urgent Notice" stamped in red made my heart skip. I tore it open, and my legs gave out. The letter was a foreclosure warning for a $720,000 mortgage on a property in Leawood, an upscale suburb south of Overland Park. I'd missed 6 payments of $8,200 each, and the bank was preparing to seize the collateral. My house. Attached was a property tax bill for $13,000, due in 25 days, addressed to me. The property, a 5,200 square foot mansion with 6 bedrooms, a pool, and a 5-car garage. I'd never seen it, never signed for it, never even imagined owning something so extravagant. My pulse raced as I read my social security number, my driver's license details, and a signature that mimicked mine but felt off. Too bold, too practiced, panicked. I checked my credit report. My score, once 780, was now 450. My screen was a disaster. Inquiries from banks I didn't recognize, a new credit card with a $14,000 balance I hadn't opened, and that monstrous $720,000 mortgage glaring at me. I called Prairie Home Bank, my hands shaking, navigating their endless menu, until I reached a human. "This is Todd. How can I help you?" The rep's voice was neutral, almost robotic. There's a mortgage in my name for $720,000, I said, my voice trembling. I didn't take it out. This is a mistake. Todd put me on hold for 42 minutes, the hold music looping like a taunt. When he returned, his tone was unchanged. Ms. Reynolds, the mortgage was approved in December 2024. The documentation is in order, your signature, driver's license, social security number, everything. I didn't sign anything, I shouted, my voice bouncing off the walls. Someone stole my identity. You'll need to file a dispute and provide evidence of fraud, Todd said, as if reading a manual. The paperwork appears legitimate. I hung up, my head spinning. Evidence of fraud? How do you prove a negative? I imagined foreclosure notices piling up, movers emptying my home, my neighbors whispering as my life collapsed. The tax bill was the final straw, $13,000 I didn't have, for a mansion I didn't own. I called my best friend, Olivia Harper, a real estate agent who'd been my confidant since our college days at CU. Olivia was practical, blunt, and had a knack for spotting scams. Mia, this is identity theft. No question, Olivia said, her voice firm. Freeze your credit with Experian, Equifax, TransUnion. Now file a police report and get a lawyer. This is big. I spent the next 4 hours on the phone, locking down my credit and changing every password, bank accounts, email, even my Etsy shop. My mind raced through possibilities: a cyber thief, a phishing scam, some stranger in a dark room. But a nagging suspicion grew. The paperwork was too detailed, too personal. Someone close had done this. The next morning, I drove to my parents' house in Olathe. The 10-mile trip down I-35 was a blur, my hands tight on the wheel as I rehearsed my plea. I needed their support, their anger, their promise to help me fight. I brought the foreclosure notice, the tax bill, my credit report, and a folder of bank statements, clutching them like a shield. When I pulled into their driveway, the sight of their home faded brick, tomato plants in bloom, the old porch swing made my chest tighten. This was my sanctuary, where we'd built snow forts, fought over Monopoly, celebrated holidays with Mom's pies. Surely, they'd be as outraged as I was. Mom opened the door, her apron smudged with flour from baking bread. Mia, sweetie, what brings you by? Her smile faded when she saw my face. I sat them down in their living room, the one with Mom's knitted throws and Dad's tool catalogs on the shelf. I showed them the letter, expecting shock, maybe tears. Instead, Mom's eyes widened, and Dad looked at the floor, his jaw tight. They exchanged a glance, and my stomach dropped. They weren't surprised. They knew. Mia, sit down, Mom said, her voice shaky. She gestured to the couch, her hands twisting a dish towel. What's going on? I demanded, my voice cutting through the silence. Dad cleared his throat, avoiding my gaze. It's about Ethan. The room seemed to shrink, the air thick with dread. Mom started crying, soft sobs that echoed in the quiet. Dad explained in a low, reluctant tone. 6 months ago, Ethan had come to them, desperate. His latest venture, flipping a mansion in Leawood, was his big break. He'd said he'd found a buyer, a developer who'd paid $2.3 million once, renovated, but with his credit ruined from past failures, no bank would touch him. So he'd used my identity, my social security number, my driver's license, a forged signature to secure the $720,000 mortgage. Mom and Dad knew about it, but swore Ethan had promised to pay it back before I found out. He showed us plans. Dad said, his voice heavy, the mansion's a goldmine worth triple what he borrowed. We thought he'd handle it. Handle it. I stood, my chair scraping the hardwood, my voice rising to a shout. He stole my identity. He bought a mansion in my name, ruined my credit, and now I'm stuck with the $13,000 tax bill. How could you keep this from me? Mom reached for my hand, but I pulled away, my heart pounding. He's your brother, Mia, she said, tears streaming down her face. He's been struggling. We thought he'd pull through this time. You thought? I laughed, a bitter, hollow sound. You knew for 6 months and didn't tell me. You let him gamble with my life. Dad's face hardened. He's family, Mia. He's under pressure. You've always been fine. You'll figure this out. I felt like I'd been stabbed. My parents, who'd taught me to save, to be honest, were defending Ethan. Worse, they'd known since December 2024 and said nothing. You're choosing him over me, I said, my voice breaking. My house is at risk, my credit's destroyed, and you're worried about him. Mom's sobs grew louder. Please, Mia, don't go to the police. It'll ruin Ethan's life. He's already got so much on his plate. What about my life? I shouted, grabbing my folder. You let him do this, and now you're begging me to protect him. I stormed out, ignoring Mom's pleas, the door slamming behind me. The drive home was a fog, my vision blurred with tears. My family, my refuge, had turned against me. That night, I sat in my living room, the foreclosure notice and tax bill strewn across the coffee table, my phone a lead weight in my hand. I needed to hear it from Ethan. I needed him to explain why he'd betrayed me, why he thought he could get away with it. My hands trembled as I dialed, but I forced my voice to stay steady. He answered on the fourth ring, his voice upbeat, like he was mid-laugh at a bar. Hey Mia, what's good? Did you forge my signature for a $720,000 mortgage to buy a mansion in Lee? I asked, my voice icy, slicing through his cheered out silence. Then a nervous chuckle, the kind he used when caught in a lie. Okay, wow, straight to it. Look, I was gonna tell you. I just needed a little time. I snapped, pacing my living room, my bare feet cold against the hardwood. You stole my identity, Ethan. You forged my signature, used my social security number, and put my house at risk. My credit's ruined, and there's a $13,000 tax bill in my name. What were you thinking? I'm sorry, Mia, he said, his tone shifting to panic, the charm fading. I was in a jam. The Leawood Mansions, a jackpot $2.3 million once. It's flipped. I've got a buyer lined up. I'll pay it back, every dime, plus interest. You won't lose a thing. You're broke, Ethan, I shouted, my voice echoing. Your car business failed. Your app crashed. Your investing gig was a bust. How are you going to pay back $750,000? The buyer's solid, he insisted, his voice desperate. A developer from St. Louis. Just give me a month, Mia. Don't do anything crazy. And, can you cover the tax bill? Just for now, I'll pay you back. I froze, my jaw dropping. You want me to pay the taxes on a mansion you stole, with my identity? It's temporary, he pleaded. If the taxes aren't paid, the deal falls through, and we're both screwed. Please, Mia, for the family. I hung up, tears burning my eyes. Ethan's audacity was staggering. Not only had he betrayed me, but he expected me to clean up his mess, to sacrifice more to protect his fantasy. I looked around my house, my haven, with its soft couch, my invitation designs on the table. The view of the Kansas plains and felt a cold fury ignite. This wasn't just about money, it was about trust, and Ethan had shattered mine. My revenge would be bold, silent, and irreversible. I'd sell that mansion and let him face the fallout. Dot Olivia connected me with Sarah Patel, a lawyer in Overland Park who specialized in identity theft and property law. Sarah was a dynamo-mid-30s, with a sharp bob, a steely gaze, and a track record of dismantling fraud cases. We met at her office, a modern space with a view of the city's oak-lined streets, the Kansas City skyline glinting in the distance. I brought everything: the foreclosure notice, the tax bill, my credit report, and a timeline of my parents' confession and Ethan's call. I even included a photo from a family barbecue last summer, showing my purse on the picnic table. Purse Ethan had rifled through to steal my driver's license. This is fraud. No question, Sarah said, reviewing the documents. Your brother committed a federal crime: identity theft, forgery, possibly wire fraud. We'll sue him civilly for damages and work with the police for criminal charges. The bank's liable, too, for approving a loan without verification. But there's more. We can challenge the title. That house is in your name. Legally, it's yours to sell. I blinked, my mind racing. Sell it, Sarah nodded. If the mortgage and title are in your name, and the bank can't prove you authorized it, you have a claim. We can transfer the debt to Ethan through the lawsuit and sell the property to recoup your losses. It's a long shot, but it's leverage. The idea hit me like a lightning bolt. Selling the mansion, taking it from Ethan's grasp, would be the ultimate revenge. A silent strike that would leave him reeling. I signed the retainer agreement, my hands steady as I committed to the fight. Sarah filed a police report, and, within 48 hours, detectives were at Ethan's apartment, a cramped space above a bar in Kansas City. Ethan admitted to forging my signature but claimed I'd agreed to invest a lie so thin it made my blood boil. The police opened a criminal case, and Sarah warned him he could face up to 7 years if convicted. The civil lawsuit followed. Sarah filed against Ethan for fraud, identity theft, and emotional distress, seeking $1.4 million in damages, enough to cover the mortgage, taxes, legal fees, and the chaos he'd caused. We sued Prairie Home Bank for negligence, arguing they'd failed to verify the loan. To build the case, I spent weeks gathering evidence: tax returns, pay stubs, utility bills, anything to prove I hadn't authorized the mortgage. Sarah's team hired a private investigator, Carlos Mendoza, to dig into Ethan's finances. Carlos's report was a bombshell. The Leawood mansion was a wreck-rotting wood, a faulty roof, and a $45,000 lien from an unpaid contractor. Ethan had no buyer, no developer, just a string of bad checks and a $15,000 credit card debt. He'd been living in the mansion, hosting parties and posting photos on Facebook, all while dodging payments. Carlos uncovered a twist. Ethan had tried to take out a second loan in my name for $110,000, but the bank flagged it due to my frozen credit. He'd also opened the $14,000 credit card, racking up charges at luxury stores and a golf resort in Lawrence. The audacity fueled my plan. My revenge would strip him of that mansion, his pride, and his hold over our parents. While Sarah built the legal case, I launched my revenge. I started by challenging the title with Sarah's help. We argued that since the mortgage was fraudulently obtained in my name, the property legally belonged to me, until proven otherwise. Prairie Home Bank, facing scrutiny, agreed to a temporary title transfer pending the lawsuit, a move that stunned Ethan when he received the notice. I didn't tell him I let him stew. Next, I listed the mansion for sale through Olivia, using a pseudonym to keep it discreet. The property's condition: cracked foundation, moldy walls, an empty pool, meant a quick sale at $450,000, far below Ethan's $2.3 million dream. Olivia marketed it as a fixer-upper opportunity, and within 2 weeks, a cash buy flipper from Wichita offered $435,000. I accepted, closing the deal in late June 2025. The funds held in escrow pending the lawsuit's outcome. Ethan's Facebook posts stopped, his silence a sign he'd caught wind of the sale. I tipped off a local blogger, KC Scoop, with Carlos's report and photos of the mansion's decay. Anonymously, an article titled "Leawood Mansion Scam Exposed" went viral, detailing Ethan's unpaid debts and the fraud. His friends unfollowed him, his reputation in tatters. He called me, furious, demanding to know who'd leaked it. I stayed silent, my voice calm. Maybe it's the truth. Catching up, Ethan. I also contacted the contractor, Mike Larson, who'd walked off the job over the $45,000 lien. I met him at a diner, buying him coffee, and convinced him to file a lien enforcement action, tying up the property's sale until the debt was settled. Mike grinned, saying, "He's been dodging me for months. This'll hurt." The family pressure mounted. Mom's calls turned from tearful to bitter, blaming me for destroying Ethan. "You're breaking our hearts," she said in a voicemail, her voice sharp. Dad sent texts preaching forgiveness, quoting his pastor and recalling his own youthful errors. My Aunt Julie called, lecturing me about family unity. My cousin Jake, always Ethan's ally, texted, "You're selfish, Mia. Ethan's trying to succeed." The guilt was a weight, but every time I wavered, I'd see the tax bill, $13,000, now overdue, and my resolve hardened. The trial began on July 15, 2025, in a Johnson County courtroom, a modern building with glass walls and a hum of tension. The gallery was packed, reporters, locals, and my parents, sitting rigidly in the back, their faces unreadable. Ethan hired a flashy lawyer, Mark Sullivan, who oozed confidence and wore a pinstripe suit that screamed money. Sarah warned me Mark would play dirty, painting me as complicit. "He'll twist your past support into agreement," she said. "Stay focused." Mark's opening statement was a spinfest. He argued I'd implicitly approved the mortgage by lending Ethan money for his car business years ago, a $300 loan, never repaid, as proof of my trust. He claimed I'd visited the mansion, a lie that made my blood boil. A few jurors, including a middle-aged woman with a doubtful look, nodded, and my stomach churned. Sarah's opening was a powerhouse. She laid out the facts: Ethan's failed ventures, his forged documents, my ruined credit, and the bank's negligence. Mia Reynolds trusted her brother, Sarah said. her voice commanding. Ethan repaid that trust with a $720,000 lie and a $13,000 tax bill he expects Mia to pay. Ethan took the stand, dressed in a pressed shirt, his eyes brimming with tears. He spun a tale about his passion for real estate, claiming he'd told me about the mortgage at a family brunch and I'd agreed to help. He swore the St. Louis developer was real, delayed by zoning issues. His performance was convincing, and I saw Mom dab her eyes in the gallery. I testified next, my voice steady despite my nerves. I told the jury about the letter, the tax bill, the fear of losing my home. I described the betrayal, Ethan's lies, my parents' silence, the weight of their judgment. This was my brother, I said, meeting their eyes. I trusted him. He took that trust and stole my life. Sarah presented a mountain of evidence, forged documents with my signature traced from a wedding invitation, bank records showing Ethan's $14,000 credit card spree, Carlos's report on the mansion's disrepair, and texts from Ethan begging me to pay the taxes. She called Carlos, who testified about Ethan's financial mess. No developer, just a $45,000 lien and bounced checks. He revealed the second loan attempt, stopped by my frozen credit. The jury leaned forward, their faces stern. The bank's testimony was damning. Their loan officer, Rachel Dunn, admitted they'd approved the mortgage based on Ethan's paperwork without contacting me. It looked legitimate, Rachel said, shifting uncomfortably. Sarah tore into her, exposing the bank's lax verification. You didn't think a $720,000 loan warranted a call. Rachel had no answer. My parents' testimony was excruciating. Mom sobbed, saying she'd prayed Ethan would fix it. Dad admitted they'd known since December 2024 but didn't tell me because Ethan deserved a chance. Mark tried to spin it as a family misunderstanding, but Sarah dismantled it, highlighting their complicity. Mr. and Mrs. Reynolds chose to protect their son's lies over their daughter's future, she said. A surprise witness sealed it. Carlos tracked down Mike Larson, the contractor. Mike testified that Ethan had promised payment from a family fund tied to me, a lie that left the jury gasping. He produced emails where Ethan bragged about his $1 million flip, undermining his victim act. The trial stretched over 4 weeks, each day a grueling emotional marathon. I leaned on Olivia, who brought me tea and listened to my rants. The mansion sale loomed in the background, its escrow funds a silent weapon. On August 12, 2025, we gathered for the verdict. The courtroom was silent, the air thick with tension. Sarah squeezed my hand, whispering, "You've got this, Mia." My parents sat in the back, Mom clutching a handkerchief, Dad's face stoic. Ethan stared at the floor, his hands fidgeting. The foreman, a man with a steady voice, stood. We find the defendant, Ethan Reynolds, liable for fraud, identity theft, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. We award the plaintiff, Mia Reynolds, $1.2 million in compensatory and punitive damages. The courtroom buzzed with gasps. Ethan's head dropped, his shoulders slumping. Mom let out a sob, and Dad pulled her close, his face pale. The judge added that Ethan would face criminal charges, with a potential 7-year sentence. Sarah had negotiated with the bank. They rescinded the mortgage's claim on my credit, paid $80,000 toward my legal fees, and acknowledged the title transfer. The tax bill was shifted to Ethan, who'd have to deal with the sales fallout. But my revenge peaked that day. The mansion's sale closed, the $435,000 transferred to escrow, with $45,000 paid to Mike's lien, and the rest held pending the lawsuit's final judgment. Ethan learned of the sale mid-trial, his lawyer's objection overruled as the title was legally mine. The news hit him hard. He'd lost his dream, his leverage, his facade. The blog post gained traction, and a local TV segment dubbed him Kansas City's flop king. My silence had stripped him bare. Relief washed over me, but it was bittersweet. The $1.2 million was a mirage. Phaeton was broke. The mansion sold at a loss. My parents left without a word, their silence a final severing. I'd won, but I'd lost my family. The aftermath was a slow, quiet rebuild. My credit score climbed to 620, a small victory. I refinanced my house to cover legal fees, and my job stabilized after landing a major campaign for a Kansas City startup, earning a bonus. Olivia became my anchor, hosting game nights with wine and board games. I met her brother, Noah Harper, a teacher with a gentle laugh, and we started jogging together, His calm, a contrast to Ethan's chaos. Therapy helped me process the betrayal. My therapist, Dr. Rachel Kim, guided me through the guilty actions, my parents' complicity, my own revenge. You reclaimed your power, she said. That's not vengeance, it's survival. I started volunteering at a financial literacy program, teaching budgeting, turning my pain into purpose. Ethan's criminal trial looms, and he's living in a cheap motel, his Facebook deleted. The mansion's sale left him with a $200,000 debt. My parents sent a stiff note about healing, but I'm not ready. They chose Ethan's lies over my truth. This ordeal taught me that family isn't just blood, it's trust, respect, and accountability. Ethan's betrayal was a theft of more than money. It was a theft of faith. My parents' silence was its own crime, favoring their golden boy over me. Selling the mansion, my silent revenge restored my control, turning his scheme against him. I spent months wrestling with guilt, but every time I doubted, I'd see my house, my home, safe, abandoned. No, I'd made the right choice. I'm sharing this because I know I'm not alone. Have you faced betrayal, fought back with a bold move, or rebuilt after a loss? Drop your story in the comments. I want to hear it. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more real-life tales of resilience and revenge. Let's talk about standing up, striking back, and reclaiming your life, no matter who tries to tear you down.